In 1962, the largest retail company in America sent a letter to a small-town store owner in Bentonville, Arkansas. The letter contained an offer, a serious offer, the kind of offer that most people spend their entire lives dreaming about and never receiving. The offer was to buy his company, all of it, for $1 billion. The store owner read the letter, he thought about it. And then he said no. His name was Sam Walton. And at the time, his company was worth less than $10 million. The people who made the offer thought he was either a fool or a madman. 40 years later, Sam Walton was the richest man in America. His company was worth over $200 billion. And the company that made him the offer, Sears Roebuck, once the most powerful retailer on earth, had filed for bankruptcy. This is not a story about luck. This is not a story about timing. This is a story about one decision, one moment, one man who understood something that almost nobody around him understood. And today I am going to show you exactly what he understood and how you can use it. This is The Silent Tycoon, Episode 3. Sam Walton grew up poor, not uncomfortable poor, not middle-class poor, poor. His father was a farm mortgage broker during the Great Depression, and Sam watched his family scramble for every dollar. He delivered newspapers before school. He sold magazine subscriptions. He milked the family cow and sold the milk to neighbors. By the time he was 8 years old, Sam Walton had already learned the first lesson that would define his life. Money does not come to those who wait for it. He worked his way through the University of Missouri, paying every dollar of his own tuition. He graduated in 1940, took a job as a management trainee at J.C. Penney in Des Moines, Iowa, earning $75 a month. And for 3 years, he watched, he studied, he memorized how retail worked, the pricing, the buying, the display, the customer psychology. He was not building a resume, he was building a blueprint. In 1945, at 27 years old, Sam Walton borrowed $25,000 from his father-in-law and opened his first store. A Ben Franklin franchise in Newport, Arkansas, a town of 7,000 people in the middle of nowhere. His wife Helen had one condition: no large cities. She had grown up in a small town and she wanted to raise her children in one. Sam agreed without hesitation. That decision, to build in small towns that nobody else wanted, would become the foundation of the greatest retail empire in human history. Because here is what Sam Walton saw that Sears and Kmart and every other major retailer had missed completely. There were millions of Americans living in towns of fewer than 50,000 people who had no access to discount retail. They were driving 2 hours to the nearest city to buy basics. They were paying full price for everything, and nobody was serving them. Sears was focused on cities. Kmart was focused on cities. Every sophisticated retail analyst in America had decided that small towns were not worth the investment. And Sam Walton, the man from Bentonville, Arkansas, looked at that consensus and saw not a verdict, but an opportunity. He opened stores in Fayetteville, in Rogers, in Springdale, in Harrison, in tiny towns that the big companies dismissed as irrelevant. And in every town he entered, something happened that no one had predicted. The customers came in enormous numbers because they were hungry, because they had been waiting for exactly this. Because when you build in a place where there is no competition, you do not just capture market share, you create the market. By 1960, Sam Walton had 15 stores and was doing $14 million in annual sales. That was when Sears sent the letter. That was when they offered him $1 billion for what he had built. And this is the moment I want you to sit with, because $1 billion in 1962 is the equivalent of approximately $10 billion today. Sam Walton had started with $25,000. He had multiplied it 40,000 times in 15 years. And now someone was offering him $10 billion in today's money to walk away. Most people, and I mean almost every person alive, would have taken that offer. Most people would have said yes before the sentence was finished, because most people look at $1 billion and see the end of the story. They see the destination, they see the finish line. Sam Walton looked at $1 billion and saw something completely different. He saw a ceiling, he saw someone else's opinion of what his company was worth. And he fundamentally disagreed with it. He had a vision that Sears could not see. He could see a Walmart in every small town in America. He could see a supply chain that no one had ever built. He could see prices so low that working class families would save hundreds of dollars a year. And he knew, with the certainty that only true believers possess, that what he was building was not worth $1 billion. It was worth 100 billion. It was worth 200 billion. It was worth whatever the needs of the American consumer were worth. He said no, and he went back to work. In 1970, Walmart went public. In 1980, it was the largest retailer in the American South. In 1990, it surpassed Sears to become the largest retailer in America. And in 1991, Sam Walton, the small-town store owner from Arkansas, became the richest man in the United States with a net worth of over $8 billion. Sears filed for bankruptcy in 2018. The company that once offered to buy Sam Walton out for $1 billion could not pay its own debts. Now, I want to tell you what Sam Walton actually understood, because it was not luck, and it was not genius in the traditional sense. It was something more specific, more learnable, and more powerful than almost anything else in the study of wealth. Sam Walton understood the difference between a price and a value. A price is what something is worth today, according to other people. A value is what something is worth in the future, according to you. And the ability to see the value in something that others have priced too low, that is not a talent. That is a skill, and it can be learned. Sears looked at Walmart in 1962 and calculated a price. They used the standard formulas: revenue, assets, market position, growth rate. And they arrived at $1 billion. That was the price. That was what the spreadsheet said. Sam Walton looked at Walmart in 1962 and calculated a value. He did not use a formula, he used a vision. He asked not what his company was worth today, but what it could become. He thought in decades, not quarters. He thought in potential, not in performance. This is the skill that separates every great fortune from every merely good fortune. Warren Buffett calls it finding businesses that are worth $1, but selling for 50 cents. Peter Lynch called it investing in what you know before Wall Street discovers it. Sam Walton called it seeing what others refuse to see. The people who build generational wealth are almost always people who saw something, a technology, a market, a piece of land, a business that was underpriced by others. And they had the courage and the patience and the conviction to say, "You are wrong about what this is worth, and I am going to prove it." This is what Sam Walton did in 1962. This is what Jeff Bezos did in 1994, when everyone told him that selling books on the internet was a terrible idea. This is what Steve Jobs did when he looked at clunky personal computers and saw something elegant and beautiful that the world was not yet asking for. They were not lucky. They were not geniuses. They were people who had trained themselves to see value where others saw price. People who had learned to hold a vision under enormous social pressure to abandon it. People who could sit across from someone offering them $1 billion, look them in the eye and say, "You are underestimating me." The question I want to leave you with today is this: what in your life are you undervaluing because other people have given it a price? What business, what skill, what idea, what project are you sitting on that the world has priced at very little but that you know in the quiet part of your mind is worth far more than anyone is offering. Because the difference between Sam Walton and the people who took the first offer they received is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is simply this. Sam Walton trusted his own valuation more than he trusted the valuation of others. And in the end, that is the only question that matters. Do you trust your own assessment of what you are building, or are you waiting for someone else to tell you what it is worth? History belongs to the people who say no to the first offer, who keep building when others would have cashed out, who trust the vision over the valuation. This is the silent tycoon. Every week we open one more door that most people will never walk through. Subscribe, so that when the next door opens, you are standing right there with us. Stay silent, build quietly, and own everything you touch.